Tennis players are always moving on a dangerous trail. From the intensity of Grand Slams to the hard labor on clay and demanding grass courts. The body is ever at risk and failure might come at any time. But exceptional people like Nadal, Federer or Serena Williams are always more greedy. After the cool summer of the Australian Open down under, they're now seeking for glitter on the hot gold trail of Indian Wells. Conditions are rough, the battle is fierce, but nothing can really prevent a tennis player from participating in the gold rush at the biggest tennis tournament after the majors. Welcome to Indian Wells. Welcome to Match Point. The 2015 tennis season started on a high note. We saw the real return of Andy Murray reaching the final at the Australian Open. But world number one Novak Djokovic showed no mercy at all, winning his 8th Grand Slam title. Here's the deal. With Rafael Nadal still in recovery mode and Roger Federer not being as big a threat at the majors anymore, I wonder if this year could be the time of supremacy for Novak. Can he resist the attacks from the young guns like Nishikori, Dimitrov or Raonic? Can he master the intensity of the other 3 Grand Slams? Can he drive his lifestyle into strict discipline and win the ATP finals? Novak looks to me like a warrior on a mission, but it's not about gold nor hunger. It's more about perfection and domination. I need to meet the proud and unique Novak Djokovic to check on his mindset. Novak, obviously a perfect start to the year, winning the Australian Open. You can't be surprised, it's the 5th time you won it. What have you learned from winning it 5 times and what happens to your tennis after the Australian Open?
Well, usually from the experience that I had in the years when I was starting the season with the Australian Open, when I had a great first couple of months, especially here in Indian Wells and Miami. I'll try to do the same. Obviously, it's unpredictable of how I'm going to do, but I always try to do my best and to get myself in the right shape to prepare. I came here a bit earlier. Obviously, I played the Davis Cup week that was successful for our country, and then I built an energy level from there and came here, and I'm encouraged to play my best.
I saw that you played Davis Cup. That's obviously a big commitment because you guys have a good enough team where you should most probably be the favorites in one way. How is that going to impact the rest of your year?
Well, Janko Tipsarevic is not playing. He's been away for over a year, and Victor is coming back now. He played first Davis Cup tie since he came back from his suspension, and so it's great to see him coming back. Hopefully, Janko will be back as well for the quarterfinal clash against Argentina after Wimbledon, and this year is one of the years where we want to really go all the way. We'll see. Obviously, it started great for us. Argentina away, it's going to be tough. But as you said, it's a great commitment because it's not an easy scheduling week. If you look at it, it comes usually after the Grand Slam. So after Wimbledon, you're going to have to go and play on clay in Argentina, which is definitely not something you want to do. But again, playing for a country is something that is much different from any other individual tour event, and it actually awakens all the best emotions in us as tennis players.
Okay, so I have to ask you, because you are now a husband and a father, and obviously playing Davis Cup, that's away from the family too.
You touched the right point.
And it's not your choice anymore. But anyway,
exactly.
I think that what I was thinking is have dealt with being a husband, and now you've dealt with being a father, and you brought out the intensity level in the Australian Open. To me, tells me that you're going to be very dangerous the whole year, potentially looking at winning the French and maybe the other two too. Is there anything there for you that you feel this is the year because everything has changed so much?
Well, yes. I mean, since I became a father, I haven't lost too many matches, and it has brought a new dimension of energy and joy to life that I'm trying to carry to the tennis court as well. My wife, thankfully, has a lot of understanding for what I do. She's the biggest support I have, and they're here with me. So this is going to be the first big tournament that we're all together as a family, and going to try to cherish every moment really spent with them. I'm going to try to play my best, and as you said, you know, it's important to, when you're on the tennis court, do your job. You know, kind of come up with 100% intensity and commitment and concentration, and then enjoy your time with the family later on. But season is still very young. It's still very. It's just the beginning. It's hard to say what the Grand Slam in Paris brings, but that's one of my highest priorities. That's for sure.
So that's hard to keep your mind off of it, of course.
Yeah, well, I do think about it time to time, but right now, most of my attention is directed to Indian Wells.
All right, Novak, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mats. Thank you.
Thanks so much. When something in the life of a tennis player is more important than winning matches, like becoming a father for the first time, you never really know how that will affect your tennis. Usually your intensity level goes down, and it's harder to have that do or die attitude. Suddenly, you're not as afraid of losing as before, and that's a bad thing. I think great champions fear being beaten on the court way more than the average pro. When you're emotionally involved and your senses are on high alert, you also play smarter tennis. You make better decisions listening to your heart rather than your brain. Novak has lost only 2 meaningful matches since the birth of his son 5 months ago. So it seems that he has already figured out how to deal with the fact that tennis will never again be the most important thing in his life. So I say, watch out, tennis world. I have a feeling we might get to witness something very special this year. If Novak Djokovic can get more comfortable finishing points at the net, he could master the clay and achieve the near impossible quest of winning all 4 majors in the same year. Now let's focus on more details. Here are my numbers. Well, I'm very happy to be joined by the CEO of the Indian Wells tournament, an old friend of mine, Raymond Moore. Raymond, thanks for joining us.
Our pleasure, Matt. Nice to see you here.
Nice to see you too. Yeah. Thanks for having us at the tournament. I can't believe how this tournament has changed over the 40 years that it's been going. There's talk about this being the 5th Grand Slam.
Right.
Is that a serious?
It's not from us. It's not serious. No. I mean, our opinion is, or my opinion is, there'll never be a 5th Grand Slam. You know, the Grand Slams have more than 100 years of history. more than us. We got 40 years, they got 140 years.
You mentioned the best male players. They've always come out, and you had some great finals here. The best players in the world always seem to win here because they care. This year we also have the best female player here, Serena Williams, and obviously she's been absent for the last 14 years. What does it mean to have her? Now you have the best players in the world on both sides.
You know, it's great for us. It's unbelievable that we could get her back because, you know, there was always an asterisk next to our name. Well, it's the best tournament in the world. All the players play well except, you know, except Serena and Venus. And so there's always that little notation after our tournament, and we didn't like it. We think, you know, the boycott of the Williams family of the tournament wasn't good for anybody. It certainly wasn't good for us. There were no winners, and to have Serena change her mind and engage with us, and we did try and engage with them almost every year. So we didn't know what she was going to do. And then 3 days after, the Australian called and told me that she's coming.
Raymond, thank you very much.
Mats,
and
thank
thanks
you.
for being such a great
Great.
I wasn't in Indian Wells on March 17th, 2001, but I need to understand what happened that caused the Williams sisters to boycott the tournament for 13 years. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for having us in your house.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Shinetha, I had the pleasure of you driving me home the other day from the courts at Indian Wells back to my hotel. We did get a little bit lost.
Yes.
And I asked your son, that's your mom, right? He said, oh, that sounds about right. She usually gets lost. But you told me an unbelievable story about the night or the day when Serena and Venus were supposed to play in 2001.
Yes.
And you were there.
Yes.
And of course, your son and your daughter were
Yes.
working as ball kids. Would you sort of bring up the memories of what you remember from that night?
Well, I remember that night being very excited that, again, they were here in the beautiful city of Palm Springs, but in Indian Wells, and I was very excited. The beautiful stadium, and it was packed. There was so many people there.
This is the first Venus and Serena meeting.
Yes, and it was so, I mean, the energy of the crowd was just so positive. And I would say probably around 15 minutes to 10 minutes before the match was supposed to start, they announced that Venus was injured and she will not be playing. And the crowd went to yay to, it was vicious, it was hostile, it was unbelievable. And my husband,
Booing mainly
booing.
first.
Well, it started off boo, boo, and it was just everywhere. And then it's like maybe one or two people start shouting racial slurs, and then a couple more people, and then it was more. And as a mother, the first thing I thought about was my children. And then my husband and I were sitting there, and some people turned around and started calling us racial names. And it was just horrible. It was horrible. And I really felt for not only her, but her father and Venus. It was just really, really bad.
And of course, your son and I believe your daughter too. It wasn't the first year that they were ball kids. They had been ball kids for a couple of years, and nothing obviously had happened. And they must have. Your son told me over the phone he really enjoyed it, looked forward to it.
Yes.
This was the thing every year to be a ball kid. And then suddenly this happened. What do you remember from him? The reaction from your son and your daughter?
They were very hurt. I remember the ride home. And again, we don't live that far from the stadium, but the ride home was very quiet. So I knew that what happened affected my children. What happened is what happened. We can agree to move on, but we're not going to change the story. It happened to her. It happened to Mr. Williams. It happened to Venus. Those things happened to them. They were racial. They were mean. But it wasn't the city of Indian Wells. It wasn't the tennis stadium. It was the people in that stadium that came from all around the world.
Yeah, she said she can forgive, but she will never forget.
I will never forget my children. I don't think they would ever forget it.
I just felt like it was time. There's not one thing that says I should come back. I should come back in 2015. I didn't even know I'd be playing in this year. But it was more or less just timing. I just kind of felt it. I'm looking forward actually to kind of stepping out on center court and letting the whole world know that it doesn't matter what you face, whether it's something that wasn't right, something that hurt you, hurt your family, you can just come out and be strong and say, I'm still going to be here, I'm still going to survive, and I'm still going to be the best person that I can be.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the number one player in the world, Serena
The comeback of Serena is not that surprising. Time heals most wounds. After all, this is where she presented herself for the first time to the American tennis fans when she won the title here in 1999 as a 17-year-old. Later that summer, she also captured the US Open, launching an 18 Grand Slam singles career. Remember, in those early days, she was just a talented tennis player. Today, she's a role model to millions of kids and a huge star. Every move she makes is magnified. So to me, she has risen above what happened during that controversial final in 2001. She just had to come back.
Game, set, match. Wilander. Mania, please welcome Simona Halep.
Set 1, 2-6, 7-5, 6-4.
Sorry, very lucky shot.
Game, set, and match, Feliciano Lopez,
Thank you for
33
playing.
years old, ranked number 12 in the world. Well played.
Thank you.
At the moment, there are 10 players that are above 30 years old in the top 50 in the world in the ATP ranking. Last month, they made history, and you are part of it, and we're going to see a clip of the new wave about the 30 and over.
Good to be in the way.
Nice.
No es verdad que he tenido suerte, que nunca he tenido una lesión importante y con el paso de los años pues siempre la ilusión, la motivación, intentas mejorar cosas para poder estar entre los mejores y bueno, pues muy contento de seguir siendo competitivo.
I think there's a lot of other reasons. I think you're looking at equipment changes that have occurred from the rackets to their shoes. These guys now have orthotics, pre-custom orthotics. They might be dealing with foot problems or knee problems. They address them very early. I think you have a dietitian problem that in the past you might not have actually dealt with. Now you're on an individual basis. Find out if they can be dehydrated or if they're gluten intolerant, which is a big thing these days as well. So there's so many different factors these days that are getting some of these guys into their 30s.
What is the advantage for a tennis player to be over 30?
I think these guys know exactly what they are looking for, what they're aware of, what worked in the past for them and what did not work in the past. And I think when the younger guys, they're not exactly as attuned to that stuff. I mean, they're definitely aware and they're very good at those kind of things because they have someone there. But these guys have had a history behind it. They know it works for them, stretching or strength training. And some of these guys that have just started, they might not necessarily be aware of that. Some guys are unbelievably aware, but as you press the limit, is like as we all get older, we know what's worked in the past for us.
Yo siempre intento ser positivo e intentas pues con la experiencia poder tener esos detalles para seguir manteniéndote. Lo que pasa que bueno, si se tuviera la juventud y la experiencia sería mucho mejor, pero como no puede ser todo, pues intentamos acoplarnos a lo que hay.
Feli, you have just reached a number 12 in the world. It's your best ranking ever, and you're 33 years old. How can you explain that?
Well, first of all, I have to be very pleased because it's great to be 12 in the world. It's a great moment for me personally and and professionally. So I have to enjoy the moment. I think it's probably the consequence of putting a lot of things together. I'm a player more experienced. My fitness part is great. I feel in good shape, and I feel that I can still be competitive to challenge the young guys. And that gave me a lot of power, in order to fight every match, to keep playing another year, And yeah, it's a lot of things that somehow I managed to put them together.
So how important is it to be physically 100% fit, where you know you don't get tired, you're not going to get stiff the next day? How much confidence does that give a player?
Everything. For me, everything. I don't know for other players. For me, I knew that if I want to still be there in the top of top tennis level for a long time, I need to do something with my fitness part. I lost some weight since 3-4 years ago, and yeah, if I want to extend my career, I realized that this is the way I have to do it. I did it, and it was working for now. So hopefully it will, you know, continue like this.
And the training is it different now? I mean, with all the science and all the books and diets, how different is it now compared to maybe 10 years ago when you were supposed to be your best at 23 years old?
Well, we have more things, I think, in order to recover. Basically, I have one physio, and he's working with me every week, and we do a lot of prevention. We have things to recover after matches where I don't even think about them 10 years ago. And but it's also your experience that you use these things that you have. When I was young, I don't even think about stretching, recovering, ice bath. So now I try to use everything that we have in our hands in order to be better.
And in terms of style, I have to ask you, because obviously with Roger Federer, we know he hasn't been that injured in his career. You told me you haven't been injured. How important is that, to have good technique and not be too physical later in your life?
Well, it's so important. You have players like Roger that he's still there in top 3, top 2 in the world at age 33, which is very impressive. It's so important that during the time you were playing, the way you play is not so aggressive for your body. So it's really obvious that if you play this way, you can play longer.
You're now 34 in September. You could still have your best tennis still in front of you. You believe that?
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hopefully I can, maybe reach the top 10, which is very difficult. I'm 12 now. But as I said before, last year I finished top 15 in the world. If this year I do the same, I will be more than happy.
I'm sure you have. Good luck. Well, good luck in your life and in tennis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much. When I came to Indian Wells 15 years ago for the first time, there was nothing but dust and sand. It seemed an unlikely place to stage a masterclass tennis tournament. Instead, today, the organizers have turned this event into paradise to the players and most friendly for the fans. No wonder Serena Williams decided to come back, nor that Roger and the over 30 players love the hot spring in Southern California. Today is more likely that a player's career lasts longer. Technology has improved and the physical training is much more professional. Clearly, the over 30 players are more experienced and aware of their potential and body fitness. I can't see any limit in longevity. And as long as somebody like Roger Federer has fun on the court, he will try to keep playing his best tennis. That's the end. I'll see you in Charleston.